Japan feels too calm. No sirens, no shouting, no broken glass. But perfection always hides what it can't fix. And in Japan, that imperfection learned how to wear a suit. It calls itself Ninkyo Dantai, a chivalrous organization. Everyone else calls it the Yakuza. They don't hide. They register their offices. They pay taxes. They know that the most invisible place to stand is in full view. The Yakuza trace their roots to the 17th century, during the Tokugawa period. Japan's class system divided society into samurai, farmers, artisans, and merchants. Beneath these groups were the burakumin, a hereditary underclass, forced into occupations considered unclean, such as butchery, tanning, and execution. Many were excluded from ordinary life. Two main groups grew from these margins. The takiya were street peddlers, who organized themselves to protect their trade at markets and temple fairs. The bakuto were gamblers, who ran games such as hanafuda and dice in traveling circuits. Over time, both developed hierarchies, loyalty codes, and initiation rituals. From these structures, the modern Yakuza evolved. The word itself, Yakuza, comes from a losing hand in the card game Oicho Kabu, 8, 9, 3. The term once meant worthless. It became a badge for those who built value from rejection. Yakuza groups are organized as families, known as kumi. The oyabun, or boss, serves as father. Subordinates are kobun, or children. Their bond is formalized by the sakazuki ceremony, in which both drink sake from the same cup, symbolizing mutual loyalty. Discipline is maintained through yubitsume, the ritual cutting of a finger joint to show apology or submission. The custom derives from samurai tradition. Missing fingers weaken a swordsman's grip and force dependence on the group. This form of physical penalty became part of Yakuza identity throughout the 20th century. When Japan surrendered in 1945, cities lay in ruins. Markets collapsed, black market trade flourished, and police resources were stretched thin. Yakuza groups filled the vacuum by organizing labor, securing docks, and controlling smuggling routes. American occupation authorities, focused on reconstruction and stability, often allowed these activities to continue. In 1915, Harukichi Yamaguchi formalized his syndicate of dock workers into the Yamaguchi Gumi in Kobe. It grew quickly through disciplined recruitment and alliances with local business interests. By the 1980s, it had become the largest Yakuza organization in Japan, with tens of thousands of members and extensive investments in construction and entertainment. Post-war politics frequently intersected with the underworld. During the Cold War, conservative politicians sought to contain communist movements. Yakuza figures were used to disrupt left-wing demonstrations and to provide private security. In return, they received leniency and influence in business networks. This informal relationship was never official, but became an accepted feature of political life. The boundaries between legitimate enterprise and organized crime remained porous through the 1960s and 1970s. Japan's rapid economic growth after 1960 opened vast opportunities. Yakuza syndicates invested in real estate, construction, transport, and finance. They operated through front companies registered under clean names. Their main method of corporate extortion, sokaya, involved buying a single company share and then blackmailing executives by threatening public embarrassment at shareholder meetings. At their peak in the 1980s, Yakuza groups controlled billions of yen. The Inagawa Kai dominated Tokyo nightlife. The Sumiyoshi Kai managed construction and logistics. The Yamaguchi Gumi oversaw a nationwide network with links to thousands of smaller groups. Their offices were often indistinguishable from legitimate firms. The Yakuza present themselves as organizations of discipline and honor, following the principle of Ninkyo, humanity and duty. They forbid theft from civilians and claim to protect the weak. They participate in local festivals, and donate to communities affected by disasters. After the 1995 Kobe earthquake, members of the Yamaguchi-gumi distributed food and water before official aid arrived. At the same time, their involvement in gambling, prostitution, extortion, and loan sharking never stopped. Their sense of order is genuine, but limited to their own definition of it. In 1991, Japan's financial bubble burst. With international attention on its markets, the government introduced the anti-Boryokudan law to curb organized crime. The legislation allowed police to restrict Yakuza activity and made collaboration with them a punishable offense. Banks closed accounts, landlords canceled leases, and businesses ended contracts. Membership fell rapidly, from nearly 180,000 in the early 1990s to fewer than 25,000 today. Major syndicates fractured under financial pressure. The Yamaguchi-gumi split in 2015, triggering internal conflict and isolated shootings in Kobe and Osaka. The violence was brief, but symbolic of decline. Lower-ranked members faced severe isolation. Employment screening and residency checks exposed criminal records. Public baths, gyms, and hospitals still refuse service to anyone with visible tattoos or missing fingers. The Yakuza endure as symbols in Japanese media. Films, novels, and video games often depict them as tragic men bound by loyalty and fading codes. This romantic image hides the economic and political complexity of their real history. The fascination persists because the Yakuza reflect traits valued by mainstream society: loyalty, precision, restraint, expressed in darker form.